We don't get people here by accident. It's always very intentional that you made your way here. So we know this is going to be a great conversation. That being said, I like to kick things off by asking, do you come from a family of entrepreneurs, Caroline?
No, I don't. Actually, I'm the first one in my immediate family. We were really focused on education. Like my mother's a doctor, my father's an engineer. And they were like, you can be three things or a disgrace. And that was lawyer, doctor, engineer. So that was it. Those were my options. And then I decided I wanted to go to business school anyway, and I did well. And I started my business shortly after. I only had a 9 to 5 job for about 4 months, and then I quit. And luckily it turned out. So I guess I'm not a disgrace.
It's interesting you say that. Is there anything that pushed you to break away from, was it just your curiosity and your zone of genius was in business? Or was it also like, just because they said that, I'm going to go this route?
Well, I mean, they meant well, but I'm like super dyslexic. I was not good at school. So I just knew that this was not my area of, passion or where I could really do my best. And then I always loved marketing and I loved being creative. So I was very curious about that. And, social media was booming. So I was like, okay, there's an opportunity here for me.
Interesting. Yeah. I think across the board, and I'm sure Jason can speak to this too. I've rarely met people who are successful entrepreneurs who also have a official formal education. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but often they're lifelong learners in their own right outside of education. Did you find this to be true, Caroline, Jason?
I think so.
I think it's super true. I have an MBA, but it's worthless in my opinion. I did all that. I went through all the college, got my MBA, and I can tell you that has like applied zero shits to business at all. None.
Yeah, I agree on that.
None at all. And you know what? You know why I love the story so much, right? That's why I love this podcast period, is because we get the story, and a lot of times it always resonates the same. It's the rage against the machine, right? So you grew up one way and it's like, you got to do this. You got to do this. No, I'm not doing that. If you don't like it, well, disown me then. Right. So, because I'm doing my own thing and I want to do my own thing and I want to do what makes me happy. Right. Because we live in this world of, you can be outside the damn box. It's okay. Right. And I encourage it in young leaders, young professionals. God, be outside the box. Don't care what everybody else thinks. It's like one of the sayings that is one of my sayings this year is, if you need a steak dinner to work with me, I'm not your guy. Right?
Yeah.
So, just be you, do what you do. And, I have personal experience with Caroline. She runs my LinkedIn program, does a smashing job of it. I wouldn't have anybody else. So
I love that. Okay.
Awesome stuff.
Now, with that said, so how do you get to client capture systems, Caroline? So you go get your MBA. You said you only worked for like 4 months at a regular 9 to 5. So then where did things turn when you started seeing traction in your ambition and efforts?
Right. Well, I worked at an SEO agency. So we were ranking websites on the first page of Google, or at least tried to do so. And it was a really long and tedious process. And often, even if you did manage to rank on the first, page of Google, then Google would do an update and then your rankings would fall back to the 20th page and you're dead in the water. And there's nothing you can do to accelerate your results or anything like that. So I just figured there had to be a better way. So, I went like on Upwork and freelancer.com, worked for like $15 an hour, slaved away. Yeah. And then I started to see that, okay, coaches are really in need of leads and there seem to be more and more coaches. So I decided, okay, I'm going to specialize in this. And then I utilized social media just to do outreach and try different things. And in a matter of a few months, I started to see, okay, this outreach strategy is working for life coaches. What about business coaches? And then I just started to develop my arsenal. And now yeah, I have like a system, a formula, and a whole team.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much people, the gold rush is happening. Let's sell the picks and the axes and the you sold the
Right.
tools necessary to get the gold. Okay. And so then with client capture systems, was there any interesting things about like the naming of it? Did you bring the SEO experience you had and say, this is what I'm going to name it?
Right. That's a really good question. First it was funnel founders because I thought I'd still do funnels like on ClickFunnels.
Oh yeah.
But that's also a really long and tedious process. And it's mostly like you can't really, I mean, you can teach your team to do this, but that's really hard to do. It's very technical, it's very slow. So I moved away from funnels and just lead gen and just outreach. And then I figured, okay, no more funnel founders. What could it be? And client capture systems, I don't know, it just appealed to me. It was kind of
Yeah.
clear. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. And thank you for sharing the idea of like the funnels. And because there's just some work that's really hard to delegate and get done appropriately.
Right.
So what makes me curious is your idea of like process and how you go about innovating a process. I feel like this is a golden opportunity to step in and dig a little deeper into the mind of an entrepreneur that clearly had seen in their experience, this is not scalable in its current state. I need to change until I can find something that really can build traction where it's just the right amount of work with just the right amount of return. What
Right.
does that process look like in your head when you're deciding these things?
Well, so for me, it was always important to build a team and delegate because I don't want to be limited in my income based on the amount of work that I can do. And I just knew that this funnel work was too tedious and too long. And the same with SEO, they're extremely technical. And if you want to hire like a cheaper team, like say in the, Indians or Filipinos, in order to, invest a lot of money, you can definitely buy the best, VAs out there and all sorts of things, but teaching them is on you. And this would just take way too long. So it's much more of a logical choice plus demand. I just saw there was so much demand from these coaches. And yeah, those two things just led me to doing outreach on social media rather than anything else.
So it's really just the fundamentals of business planning and business administration. And you were like, yeah, doesn't make sense. It's not a good business plan. Let me move on to something else. Okay.
Yeah, it was a very logical decision.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
okay. So with that, then what is your current goal with client capture systems right now? Like, do you have a certain thing you're working to overcome or maybe looking to achieve?
Yeah, so I really want to expand on my team. That has been hard during COVID. I feel like it's been, I mean, finding good talent is obviously always tricky. And, I'm the one, training my staff personally, one by one, every single one of them. So I want to create another mini me who can, do this training on my behalf so I don't have to do it anymore. That's definitely my goal. I want to expand my team. And when I expand my team, I can take on more clients. So that's the path I see.
I see. Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
Jason knows all about building teams. I personally haven't
Yeah, I need to
really
ask
built
him.
a big team, but Jason, definitely, I'm sure you got something to say on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, building a team around you is critical, right? It's very critical. And not just an interior team, but an exterior team, right? So
Mhm.
if you build the interior fulfillment team and then like an exterior strategic partner team, right?
Mhm.
Then you take care of two birds with one stone, right? So you're taking care of kind of the acquisition referral end over here, and then
Uh-huh.
over here, the fulfillment end over here, right? So
Right.
it's not all inclusive to one or the other, you know, but I will say that, you know, the way Carolyn does things is extremely different than everybody else. And it's because everybody wants to use all this technology and they want to use, automation and messaging and all of this stuff, right? and it's so impersonal, right? And we're in a time where people are just, they're looking for that authentic approach, right? That upfront authentic approach of, hey, this is what I do, you either like it or piss off, basically, right?
Right.
I mean, right. But we've gotten in this time of where it's like, we feel like we got to take people out for a steak dinner, and then after that maybe some ice cream, and then after that maybe we'll say, well, hey, we got this cool thing, you want to buy it? Well,
Right.
instead of that, no, just knock it all backwards a little bit. And the right people that see the value will see the value to say yes, right? So and all of that is done by hand, right? There's no bots and computers and technology doing that. It's all done by hand, and that's what makes it so. And trust me, I've been through a lot of companies that say they can do LinkedIn really well, and nobody does it like she does it. It's amazing.
Wow.
Thank you.
You got Jason's stamp. I will say I have like 6 messages sitting in my LinkedIn inbox for sure that they're like, hey, I saw your name starts with the letter P. Mine does too. Would you like to buy a mobile app? What? So I can firsthand attest to the struggle is real.
It is. It's very real. I know.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So then so we know what your goal is. I hope anyone listening has 2 cents that they might want to reach out and connect with you on. In that case, I think the most important thing to do now is to say, is there a preferred channel that you have for being reached, like a website, email, social network you prefer, maybe even LinkedIn?
Yeah, so everybody can find me, Caroline Ryther or Client Capture Systems, either on search for Facebook or LinkedIn, or just our website, clientcapturesystems.com.
I love that you mentioned Facebook, because I have spoken to enough coaches and enough people helping coaches to know that is where coaches live. I don't know how it is. It's just the truth. Something about Facebook and coaches, it's like this.
It's so true.
It's just really interesting, actually. It's one of those things. It's like, go ahead.
My daughter, I said, well, we should connect on Facebook. And she said, Dad, Facebook's for old people.
Yes.
Oh, explains the coaches. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. There was a point in my younger life, like a lot younger. I'm still young, but like a lot younger, where I thought I'd want to be a coach. And then I realized I'm not old enough to have any kind of sway or authority in that. And, I look now and there's all these young people. What does that process look like if you can share just a little on you determining who? Is it on a case-by-case basis on the kinds of leads that you can get for people? Is there like, do they bring their own parameters that you take into consideration? I just want to get a sneak peek into that in case anyone's listening and they're like, I'm a coach.
Yeah.
I need this.
Of course. Well, I mean, I do have the occasional 26-year-old who says that they're a life coach. And to that I'd say, okay, sure. And obviously when somebody comes to me with that level of experience, I will say, okay, so why don't we go to Instagram? Because there are many, many women on Instagram that are younger than you and that could perhaps learn from you. But I wouldn't recommend that she goes to Facebook or LinkedIn, because that's a much older audience and they wouldn't take her seriously. So, we can cater to your specific audience, no matter your experience level or your pricing.
I love that. See, just the way you answer that already tells me. All right, right on. And it really is that there are 26-year-olds out there thinking, I'm going to be a life coach. Maybe an area coach. That's a better way of looking.
I know.
Every entrepreneur driving or wherever they're listening to this has to be chuckling.
I know. It's pretty funny.
So Caroline, if you could go back and speak to the you that was in college, who decided to take the path least taken in your family, what would you say to her now, knowing what you know?
don't finish Copenhagen Business School. I mean, I was very lucky. I was born in Denmark, and education is free. Not only is it free, you get paid $800 a month to go. So I would say it doesn't matter, just drop out. You don't need this education. Start building your own business. Just go on freelancer.com, take those $15 per hour, it doesn't matter, work for free, get, this this experience under your belt, because I had no experience whatsoever. And I always regret not starting my business sooner and not getting that experience sooner, because imagine now how far I would be. So that's the only thing I would say, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's no BS about it. I can imagine that your business operations are no different. And that when you're teaching or coaching your own employees and upskilling them, that it's the same approach, and that culture carries out into the work that they do with others as well. So for that, I thank you for breaking it down, giving us a hint of that. There is a grand finale question that I'm going to ask, and I just want to make sure before I go there that I haven't stepped on Jason's mic enough times in this conversation. Is there anything you want to add to that before I go to the grand finale?
Well, yeah, of course there is. Is there ever not? Well, I think it always resonates no matter what, when you hear people that have been in business for years, right? It's like one of the things that I think, even for myself, right, is always we look back and go, I either should have done something sooner, I should have taken more risk, or something along those lines, right? So, as a young listener that's like has an idea, or they're thinking, gosh, I'd love to be a business owner and this, that, and the other, and it's not for everybody, right? But if you want to pursue it, right, the time to pursue it and just go for it is when you're young, right?
Yes.
You're 20 years old, you're 21 years old, just freaking go for it, right? And it's like I always say, stop looking before you leap. Just leap. Calculate the fall, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Calculate the fall, but take the leap and just go. Jump off the cliff, go take the risk. It's like investing, right? You talk to anybody that's invested in their life, and they will always tell you, heavily invest in risk when you're young, because you can afford to take the hit.
Mm-hmm.
When you're 50 is not the time to be in risky, types of engagements with your money, right? Because if you lose it when you're 50, you ain't got much time to try to figure it out, right? So it's the same in business. Don't wait until you get to a spot 20 years later in your company and go, I'm going to risk it all. Not a good idea. Risk it back there. So if you're going to take something away from this, which Carolyn is a testament to that. We've heard this over and over again. Take the risk, leap, take the leap.
Yes.
All right. I'm digging it. There's good energy here. I think it's the perfect time to drop the big finale question. And we say big finale only because there's no wrong answer, but yet it's always the right answer. It's the weirdest thing. So Caroline, if I may, drum roll, please. If you could have invited anybody, I mean, you had your pick in the world in any given time or place, who would you have loved to have invited here today, and why?
Well, my first thought is Russell Brunson, the creator of ClickFunnels, because he's such a dork, but he is so brilliant. Like, he just nailed this whole industry of creating your own funnels, and he's a big idol of mine, even though we're very opposite, I would say. Like, he's this very sweet religious person, and I'm very not. I'm much more straight shooter, no BS. And he just killed it. I'm very impressed with what he did. And also that he's more like this ordinary dude, and he just has such a presence on social media. Like, his presence sells. He's just brilliant. I love to pick his brain.
I like that you use that as a barometer or as somebody that you look to, because I imagine the
Mhm.
people that you work with might fit that profile more often than not too.
Right.
Which is the curious thing there. And if he can do it, literally anybody can, is also what you're saying, I think. And I remember reading, it wasn't .com Secrets, it was a second book.
Oh
Geez.
yeah, there's Funnel Secrets and Traffic Secrets, I believe.
It might
He
have
has a
been
lot of
Traffic
books now.
Secrets. Yeah. But I remember seeing that he actually used the entire the allegory of Jesus and all that, and you know, any religious figure as a plan for building a personal brand inside of the book. I was like, wow, this dude really went there. And
I know, yeah, very creative and very like, wow.
yeah, it made sense actually when he broke it down. I can't believe I forgot the title. That usually doesn't happen. So I love that you brought it up. Valid
Mhm.
point. I want to reiterate the listener should go to clientcapturesystems.com if they want to get in touch with Carolyn. It has all the links there, I imagine. If not, look up Carolyn Ryther on LinkedIn, Facebook for sure.
And Instagram as well.
Maybe Instagram.
Yeah, that's right. We have it all.
Yeah, no, and I can't thank you enough for stopping by, Carolyn.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
For sure.
Jason, I know you got to say it. It's your ritual. Come on now. How do you
I
sign
do.
off?
I have to say it. We got 168 hours in the week. Thanks for stopping by and taking 30 to 45 minutes with us. It was a pleasure having you on the show. And you know, the great thing about it is it's always room to grow, no matter what. So
That's right.
let's just keep on growing. All right.
Let's do it.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
All right.